Hi guys, it's me Ty here, and today I'm going to tell you how I fixed the transmission issue on my cousin's 1998 Chevy 1500 4x4 um, Silverado pickup with an automatic transmission. This is an extended cab short box, is what this half ton pickup is. Well, it's 2024 right now, and my cousin parked the pickup back in like 2018 or 2019, and he told us that he thought the transmission was going out on it because he claimed that it wouldn't drive over 45 miles an hour, but that actually wasn't the issue. We all figured that he went to a mechanic because he lives like 135 miles from our house or whatever, but no, he brought the pickup out to my grandparents' place and just parked it over there for all these years here. And I was like, well, here in 2024, I was like, I got a little bit more time. I'm gonna go ahead and get that pickup running there. If I gotta go hunt down a new 4L60E transmission, a used one for $600, I'll do it, because in our area the going rate for a transfer case is $400, $600 for a transmission, and $800 for an engine from a junkyard vehicle that with the stuff that runs there. So I go ahead and I throw a battery in it, and that pickup fired right up, which is amazing because I think he used to start like once a year, just that the rear main seal wouldn't go bad or whatever, and drive it up to the mailbox. But I know that it had been sitting for 2 years, so I guess that's a pretty good thing about a pickup like that it would actually start after 2 years of not even being started. It just popped right off. I figured that the fuel pump would need to prime or something. So put the battery in, the side terminal battery in there, fired it up, and I went to drive forward. And the first thing I noticed, I was barely moving, but the speedometer was just acting like it was possessed. It was going all the way to 80 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. And as I started driving, it was like the speedometer was telling the transmission when to shift. So I was just idling across the yard, and it was showing 80, and I was moving everything, and then all of a sudden it would go down to 60 or 15 or 25, and that would tell the transmission to downshift. And I think the tachometer was working just fine at that time. So the first thing that crossed my mind is the transmission speed sensor on the back of your transfer case. I was like, that thing must be bad and telling this pickup when to shift. So I went, my brother, he's got an early 90s Chevy pickup, and it got in an accident. He hasn't ran it for many years or whatever. So I crawled underneath there and I pulled the transmission speed sensor out of there, which they're very easy to replace, you guys. All it takes is a 1-inch wrench to unscrew them, and then a small, I don't think I even needed a small flathead screwdriver. I was able to just pull the 2 tabs in each side of it on disconnect connector. So it just takes you guys a couple minutes to pull it out. So I pulled it on my cousin's pickup, pulled the one out of my brother's good running pickup or whatever that has been sitting probably like, I don't know, 15 years, something like that. And it fixed the problems, you guys. I drove it at probably 5 miles down the road, and the transmission was just shifting smoothly and everything. And then after 5 miles though, I noticed that the speedometer just went dead. It just stayed on 0, wouldn't move. But the tachometer though was showing that it was running at 5,000 to 6,000 engine RPMs, which it definitely wasn't, because I was probably like driving like 73 miles an hour down the road, and the engine was not roaring or anything. So I knew something was off there. So I watched a whole bunch more YouTube videos, and people were talking about the ignition switch wiring harness, which it goes from your ignition switch, and this thing's a really long wiring harness. I'd say it's probably like 1.5 feet long, and it stretches underneath your dash, and it's got a big block on the end of it, and like a 7mm bolt that goes through it to connect it into your main wiring harness for the computer and everything. And they said the symptoms of that wiring harness being bad are that your speedometer just stays on 0, and the tachometer runs really high or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, that's perfect. That's exactly what's wrong with my pickup. And then the YouTube videos of like your transmission speed sensor that I already replaced, the symptoms of that are the speedometer acting erratically and the ABS light on the dash. And now thinking back, I looked at that and I was like, oh shoot, the ABS light was on the dash the whole time, but I never thought anything of it. I thought just normal Chevy Christmas tree lights on the dash, you know. And before I'd actually done anything with the pickup, you guys, when I threw the battery in, I hooked up my OBS 2 code reader, and the pickup had no codes, and it still doesn't have any codes. So I went ahead and I ordered that wiring harness, the 1.5 long wiring harness, and I installed that, and it fixed absolutely nothing, no change at all. And I was thinking, I visited with my best bud. He's big into Chevy pickups, especially the 99 to 06 Silverado, but he doesn't know so much about these 90s models, the K1500s and stuff. But he's like, you know, I almost wonder if you're getting like metal shavings on the transmission speed sensor in the transfer case, because he's like, that speed sensor is an actual magnet or whatever, and that could be throwing it off. And I never thought much of it, you know, as like I threw it up one on my brother's that we knew worked and everything. And after the 5 miles, it's like, could that speed sensor have gone bad that fast or whatever? So I'd ordered a brand new one from the factory, and I went ahead and after changing that wire harness and it did nothing, I installed that, and it took all the problems away. Shifted smoothly. I got cruise control back, which this whole time cruise control had not worked, except for when I replaced it with my brother's speed sensor. And for that 5 miles, the cruise control worked. And so I went ahead and I pulled out the one of my brother's that had been good and had gone bad in 5 miles or whatever. And it was just covered in metal shavings, you guys. It was almost like anti-seize almost on it, you know, and you could actually see the metal shavings standing up, you know, like 1/8 of an inch or whatever. So I wiped them all off, and I blew out the connector, because I also noticed the electrical connector kind of had some oil residue on it, like almost like it leaked through. But I think that's from when I originally replaced the first one on my cousin's pickup. I think that the oil I hadn't blown all the oil out of it. So I put in this brand new one that I ordered in, and it fixed the problem. And I called up my buddy, and I was like, you know what? I found a whole bunch of metal shavings on that good one from my brother's pickup that we'd installed in there. I was like, this transfer case, I was like, I'd swear the 4x4 works good on it, and I hate to just, you know, pull the whole transfer case out, split it, or have to just buy a whole new transfer case when the 4x4 works just fine. Because, like, do you think that I should change the ATF fluid inside the transfer case, just try and get all these metal shavings out? And he's like, yeah, it sure wouldn't hurt or whatever. So I drove it 20 miles to town, to my place, and I went ahead and I drained all 3 gallon or 3 quarts of ATF out of it, and put the new ATF inside of it and screwed that back in there, or screwed the new transmission speed sensor back in there, because amazingly it hadn't gone out. And I was like, well, I'm here. I was like, I'm going to completely go through this pickup, because the pickup's at 131,000, and I don't know if he's done any preventive maintenance. So I went ahead and I checked the rear diff fluid, and that was, it was full, but the plug in the side of it, it was so rusted and corroded in there, I had to put a little propane torch on there, your $30 blue propane torch from Runnings Hardware there. So I put that on there, and I was able to break that one loose. Both the transfer case plugs there, they're Allen wrench. It's a pretty big Allen wrench, actually. Both of them I had heat up for quite a while to get them out of there. And then I put some True Blue, I'll get the stuff for you guys. True Blue pipe thread sealant. I might have ordered off eBay or whatever, but you can buy it over at Runnings, any of your hardware stores or anything like that. So I put that in both the plugs, because it's like I don't want them sticking. And then, amazingly, he doesn't have any oil leaks in that pickup, because that transfer case, it was completely full. The rear diff was completely full, but it was just black, and the transfer case fluid was black. The front diff fluid, it seemed like it was low, but that plug came right out. I didn't have to use the torch on that one. And that's black, but Chevy on those pickups, they don't have a drain plug on them. So I wasn't going to piss with that because I didn't have a gasket on hand. So then I went ahead and I greased the entire pickup. And this is a really fancy pickup my cousin has. It's got the bucket seats from the factory and everything in it. And I noticed in the front there, it has like a plastic shield or whatever. It's for gas mileage is what it is. So I took that out of there, and sure as heck there was 3 zerks there for your like pitman arm and all of that kind of stuff there. So I got those. I got all the grease zerks around the front wheels or whatever, and I just left that guard off there. Because really, you should be greasing the whole front end of your pickup. Because what I was going to tell my cousin is, if you go take it into the shop or whatever, like Jiffy Lube or whatever, to have them do your oil changes and grease your pickup or whatever, they're not going to piss removing all those rusted on bolts and everything and all those shields or whatever. So it's best to just leave them off. And then also on this pickup, I also noticed that the transfer case, it actually has a guard underneath of it with 4 bolts, and that was the pain in the butt game. Those things were pretty darn rusted on, and I actually had to use a backup wrench on the inside there, just so it wouldn't make such a darn mess when I drained out that ATF fluid out of the transfer case. And then what else did I find out on that pickup? Originally when I started it, after being sitting for 2 years, I checked the coolant. That was good. The engine oil was on the ad, which makes total sense because with the transmission being told to shift up, down, it's that would definitely cause it to run at such high RPMs and be really abusive to the truck that it would cause it to burn some engine oil during that time. The ATF, the transmission fluid was full. The brake master cylinder was completely empty, so I had to buy a whole bottle of brake fluid for that. The power steering fluid was full. So then after I did all this stuff here, greasing and everything, I drove it back out to my mom's place, 20 miles back again, and had no issues. Was able to set that cruise control at over 60 miles an hour or whatever, and it never had a single hiccup. So we put 40 miles on it since I did the repair, and it has fixed it, you guys. So we'll just see where it goes from here. Like I said, I'm just going to tell my cousin that he should probably run it a year, because just to see how reliable this truck is going to be. And then after that, he should definitely get those front and rear diff fluids changed and change his engine coolant and drain out the tranny fluid and measure how much fluid he got out and dump that back in there. So yeah, I just want to make a video of how we fixed ours, you guys, because our situation, from all the videos that I watched on YouTube, our situation was completely different. Half those people were saying that the transmission speed sensor fixed their problem, or the other half of them were saying that ignition switch wiring harness fixed their problem. Well, neither of those fixed my problem. It was the new transmission speed sensor, and then it just kept going out, eating it up like candy, because we had metal shavings going through that transfer case, and just coating the inside of it and actually getting on the inside of it and wrecking it. Because like I said, I cleaned out the other one that had been good, and it didn't go back to normal. It actually destroyed that brand new speed sensor. So all right, hope this helps you guys and can keep your older Chevy trucks on the road. All right, take care, you guys. And if you guys like this content, like, share, and subscribe. I'm always kicking out mechanics videos when I'm here in the United States, and other than that, I live in Asia for part of the year, traveling all around the world. So all right, take care.